Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles, now some burning questions that I have for this football team as the Eagles set to host the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday in Week 9. Burning question number one for me, what has happened to this staple Philadelphia Eagles ground game? First few weeks of the year, they were really good. And after Week 1, in which DeAndre Swift barely got the football, he was tremendous for a couple of weeks. But the last 3, he's been missing. So what is going on with this patented Eagles rushing attack? You take a look at some chat stats, in-depth numbers here. Going into the Jets game, the Eagles were second in the NFL with 164 rushing yards per game, and they were 6th in the league at 4.5 yards per carry. Over the last 3 weeks, though, the Eagles, 18th with only 79 yards per game. So those numbers pretty much cut in half, and they are 31st among 32 teams with just 3.1 yards per carry. I think a big reason why the Eagles have struggled, they've lost Cam Jurgens, and they've missed Cam Jurgens. These were the in-depth rushing numbers going into the Washington Commanders game. With Jurgens, 4 games, Eagles, 140 carries, 661 yards, 4.7 yards per carry as a team with 5 touchdowns. Without him, yards per carry all the way down to 3.6, 95 totes for 338 yards. So without him and with Sua Opeta in the lineup, this Eagles ground game has not been the same. The Eagles rushing attack going into this week against the Dallas Cowboys, specifically, you take a look at some numbers here pertaining to DeAndre Swift with Cam Jurgens. His expected points added per play, 0.26. His yards per attempt, 6.4. Team rushing success rate was at 56%. Without Cam Jurgens, though, EPA per play, negative 0.08. His yards per attempt, 3.7, and the team rushing success rate, 42%. This is a Cowboys team that does struggle from time to time against the run, and hopefully if Cam Jurgens can play this week, his practice window opened, we'll see the return of this very dominant Eagles rushing game, which I think when you're multifaceted and you have a diverse offense, it obviously benefits you, and it opens up the pass game. Burning question number 2, is A.J. Brown the best Eagles wide receiver ever? I don't think that we can say that yet because there have been a lot of great wide receivers in the course of this franchise, but what he's been able to do so far has been incredible. 60 catches, 939 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a long of 59. For A.J. Brown, during the 7-1 start, to nearly have more than 1,000 yards already, that's crazy. And what he's done over the last 6 weeks, historic. The only wide receiver in the history of the league to have 6 consecutive games of 125-plus yards. And earlier this week, I said A.J. Brown is the closest thing to Calvin Johnson we've seen since Calvin Johnson. We have a diehard Detroit Lions fan here who works at Chat Sports who's from Detroit. His name is Jake Riepma, great hire from a few weeks ago. And he even told me he thinks that A.J. Brown, closest thing to Calvin Johnson, and he liked my comp. Now, I think that these nicknames are elite, Megatron and Mega John. Some people took Mega John way too seriously in the comment section. They were like, pause, you can't use a Mega John. You're overusing Mega John. John is a girl. John is literally anything, and it's Philadelphia themed, so relax and have some fun from time to time, right? More great numbers for A.J. Brown, though, in perspective, and thanks to Ruben Frank, NBC Sports Philadelphia, for these statistical figures here. Only 8 other players have had 6 125-yard games in their entire Eagles career. Tommy McDonald had 13, Mike Quick with 12, D. Jack with 12, Pete Retzlaff at 10, Harold Jackson at 8, Jeremy Maclin with 7, Ben Hawkins, Harold Carmichael had 6, Brown had 6 in the span of 35 days, including 3 last year. He now has 9 games as an Eagle of 125-plus yards, and only McDonald, Quick, Jackson, Retzlaff have had more. Brown has played 25 games in an Eagles uniform. So my answer to that burning question, is he the best Eagles wide receiver of all time? No. Can he be? Yes. Through 8 games, Brown already has more yards than the Eagles receiving leader in 1950, 1951, 1954, 1955, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 63, 64, 66, 68, 70, 71, 74, 75, 76, 77, 79, 80, 82, 87, 88, 89, 90, 93, 95, 98, 99, 2000, 01, 02, 03, 05, 06, 08, 12, 16, 17, 19, 20, and 2021. A.J. Brown is on a historic run right now, and it's time to appreciate what this man is doing. Mega John all day. Next up, is Jalen Hurts developing before our very eyes as a passer in this league, specifically in the pocket? The answer to that is yes, and maybe this has been a little bit of a blessing in disguise that he's dealing with this knee ailment right now because the Eagles aren't running him as much, and because of that, he's really growing as a thrower in this league. Check out his numbers from throwing inside the pocket in 2022 and in 2023. He is first in the NFL in completion rate, second in passer rating, third in yards per attempt, 7th in touchdown passes. He's completed 72.7% of his throws for 5,300 yards. From the pocket, he's chucked 31 tutties to 12 picks, 8.6 yards per attempt, and a 107.1 rating. What's also crazy is when you think about some of the great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, they are quarterbacks who can come from behind. No deficit is ever too large. And when Jalen Hurts is tied or trailing, that's when he plays his best football. This year, in 2023, when tied or trailing, he's completing about 73% of his passes, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, no picks, and a rating of 117.8. You look at his numbers when he's leading, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a rating of 67. So what's wild, the cool, calm, and collected type of personality that Jalen Hurts has, and he never panics in the moment. So with that, I ask you this. Jalen Hurts is a top blank quarterback in the National Football League. Let me know. I think he's top 5 for sure. If you disagree with me, your opportunity to let me know down in the comment section. I'm going to let you know that Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app in North America, and it's the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. You can get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. You pick 2+ players. You choose more or less on their projected stat lines. What's cool is now that the NBA season is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers, you can combine your NBA and NFL picks. Here are my picks that I like as of right now going into this Cowboys tilt. I think DeAndre Swift returns, and he returns with a vengeance. More than 61.5 rushing yards. Jake Elliott, more than 1.5 field goals made. Dak Prescott, more than 253.5 passing yards. We're going to put all of this information down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. Get signed up. It's a free app, and you get up to that $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Next burning question. I think that we have forgotten how good Josh Sweat has been this year, but over the last couple of years. Is Josh Sweat underrated? Hell yeah, he's underrated. Look at his side-by-side numbers next to Micah Parsons, who everybody thinks could win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Sweat has played one more game than Micah Parsons, but pressures, Parsons has 43, Sweat has 40, sacks, Sweat a half sack back at 5.5 to Parsons 6, same amount of quarterback hits, and hurries, Micah Parsons has 28 to Josh Sweat's 25. Is Josh Sweat Micah Parsons? No, that's not what I'm saying. But is he underrated? Yes, because he has been a very productive player over the last few years. Another burning question. Kenny Gainwell has really struggled this year. Him fumbling the football inside the 5 against Washington, inexcusable. And then he's beefing with the fan on Instagram DMs at halftime. Unacceptable. Nick Sirianni said, yeah, we talked to him about that. The numbers for Kenny Gainwell, not good. It's been a rough year for Kenny G. Do I think the Eagles are going to cut him? No. We saw what he could do last year. In the playoffs, he was one of the best running backs in football. But he's more of a number 2 running back, or maybe even a number 3. A little bit smaller, not all that physical. He did catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well against the Commanders, especially at the end of the half after that fumble. But my gosh, you look at these numbers here, they are not good. Among 39 running backs this season with at least 51 carries, he's 39th with the Pro Football Focus grade. Yards after contact per attempt, he's 39th. Pass blocking grade, he is 33rd. Yards per route run, he is 31st. He is 39th out of 41 running backs in success rate and 42nd out of 45 running backs in rushing yards over expected per attempt. Cutting him? No. Would Rashad Penny do that much worse? I don't think so, and it continues to confuse me that he is a healthy scratch on game days. He must really not look all that good with all of the injuries that he suffered with the Seattle Seahawks, but shoot, I'd be willing to at least give Rashad Penny a try. Another burning question. Could Jalen Carter have a Fletcher Cox-like career? I'm talking success. I'm talking accolades. I'm talking longevity. Isn't it pretty crazy how long Fletcher Cox has been in the league and how elite of a player that he's been since getting drafted in 2012 out of Mississippi State? Fletcher Cox has been in the league over a decade. I think that Cox could even be better as a player. Longevity sometimes comes down to your passion for football, injuries, team success. Fletcher Cox is a very rare Eagle in that regard and one of the best defensive linemen that this franchise has ever had. But look at these numbers for Jalen Carter in his rookie campaign. He ranks 5th in the entire NFL in pressures with 28. He is the 2nd highest graded interior defender in the NFL, and he has 14 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He's off to a great start, and he's making an immediate impact for this team. Fletcher Cox was able to do the same, and it's my hope, and it's all Eagles fans' hope, that Jalen Carter could be next in line as a franchise cornerstone like Fletcher Cox has been able to be for this organization. I also love these types of quotes from players, from coaches about an individual. Sean Desai, Eagles defensive coordinator, on Jalen Carter. It's impressive how much he loves football. He's like a sponge. He's asking for feedback. He's getting coached hard. And even from his peers, he's taken out a lot of coaching from his peers. And whoever he can feel like he can get information from, a lot of guys are touching him. Pause. But that's always a good sign, right? When you're a sponge as a young player and you don't think that your ish don't stink and you're always willing to get better and you're willing to work hard. Love what I've been able to see from Jalen Carter so far in its NFL career. And I think that the special play for the special player is only getting underway. And yes, the Eagles got him with the 9th overall pick. Shout out Howie. Make sure you join us on Sunday for our Eagles-Cowboys watch party. We will be live with an hour pregame show starting at 3:25 p.m. Eastern. We're going to start the tailgate off about an hour before the game, taking down some drinks. We're going to be giving away a Michael Vick autographed jersey. We're going to be raffling away some more items as well. You don't want to miss it. It's the best place to experience game day outside of being at the actual game.